So today, I had some really good, really cool, pretty fun plans to do with you, but plans change. It's all good. We gotta roll with the punches. We gotta keep doing stuff over here. I was gonna drive this around, do some really cool rolling shots. I washed it to get ahead of the game so that way I can have a nice clean car to get the rolling shots for and show you, and I planned on bringing it back to the shop and doing a lot of stuff. And let me just hit the intro and then I'll explain to you what's going on. I'm way dark right now too because the lighting, I didn't want to film over here because the lighting's not that great, but unfortunately we are stuck here. So let's get the intro rolling, then I'll explain to you what's going on.
And now, you're watching the Florida Man Bondo Bucket Shortage channel of YouTube. Welcome to Bodie Vision. Who gets Bondo in a bucket? Okay, come on, let's get started.
Hey, so what is up and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me yet again on another video. So like I mentioned, I went to wash this car. I wanted to get some nice rolling shots. I was gonna get a nice setup going on by the park. I was gonna talk about the car. I was gonna give a full kind of an outline overview of this project and everything that we did with it and just make a really nice, cool video for you guys to enjoy. But my plans stopped drastically when I went to go start the car. Then I realized it sounded awfully unfamiliar how it was trying to start. And what I mean by that is you kind of recognize the sounds or what should happen. So I don't just go straight into it. I bring the key to the second position where normally you hear the Honda, the main relay click. I didn't hear that. And I didn't hear the fuel pump. So I knew I had some issues. So my first thought was, why isn't the fuel pump going? But then it's really, why is the main relay not going and why is the fuel pump not going? So I started looking at voltages. The car's been sitting for about, I don't know, 2 weeks. I figured maybe if it's about 10 volts, it's probably not going to pop off because the ECU is not going to send the right voltage to the main relay. But then I checked the voltage and we're sitting at 12.2 volts, 12.6 volts. We're exactly where we needed to be, no problem. So then my thought was, maybe the main relay's messed up because the main relay should be getting 12 volts. I don't hear the main relay clicking. If the main relay doesn't click, the fuel pump's not going to turn on. So that was my next thought. And what I ended up doing was looking around, and then I thought to myself, I was having all of these ECU problems. I had a P28 ECU that I got that ended up being no good. So then I had to buy a P06 ECU that ended up being what I thought was good. So you can already see where this is going. I had the P06 on the floor, the ECU that I had been running this car, the ECU that I got, and it saved the day, no problem. I ripped that out of here, plugged in my P28 that was broken, that wasn't working properly. As soon as I plugged in the P28 and I turned the key to the running position, main relay clicked, fuel pump turned on. So right there in that second I knew we have a problem with our ECU. I have one ECU that shows improper voltage and that messes up everything, that's the P28. And then I have the other ECU that should be good, is not allowing the main relay to click and the fuel pump to come on. So I got two ECUs, keep in mind they're both from the early 90s, that are not working. So unfortunately I am not going to be able to make the video that I wanted to make, but that doesn't mean that I won't be able to make a video happen. So let's go ahead, let's just throw this into a time lapse. I have some branding for this thing. All of the El Chapo branding is done. I can show you that. I also work on the Cadillac quite a bit. We filmed for some of that. So this is still going to be a good upload either way. We're not going to let a little delay stop us. And I also ordered a full capacitor rebuild kit for the ECU. It comes with every single capacitor that could potentially be bad. Replace the ones that you feel are bad and then move forward with it. So I'm gonna wait a couple days till that gets in here. Once those get in here, then we can do all those sweet rollers. But for now, we gotta work with what we got. All right, so we got the old one off. That old decal was just an extra one that I had from my truck. But check this design out that my guys over at Danger Brain. This is the El Chapo design. This is the El Chapo sticker design, or very similar to the sticker that you will be receiving. I haven't sent any of those out yet for the giveaway. I'll touch on the giveaway here in a little bit. So I want to get this thrown on because we got to get the branding right, the car is right. Everything is looking so solid with this build, and the branding is on par with the rest of it. So let me just kind of hold this up, see where and how I like it. I've kind of found with stuff like this, if you measure and you step back and you take your time and you really look at it, and then you kind of step back and say, man, that looks a little bit crooked. I should have just eyeballed it. I kind of like just eyeballing it when it comes to stuff like this. So let's see. I think that looks pretty good. Maybe make a reference point, or just know that I want the edge of the H to line up right here. I have no complaints with that, and I like it. So let's go ahead and throw this back on time lapse. I don't want to take a whole bunch of your time by just throwing on a decal, even though this thing is worth all the time that I could spend on it from how good it looks. So let's just go ahead and get this thrown on, and I also have stuff to match the little Honda Trail 50 as well. El Chapo design, magnifique, 10 out of 10. And you know, with the Honda Trail 50, we had to match the branding as well. Really, really good stuff. We also have the little skeleton design for the tank. It's essential to get a design on the tank. Mandatory. So let's stick this on right here. This is the final piece of the puzzle. Make sure it's nice and clean and a perfect mount. It's not that serious. Let's just go for it and it'll look good. Nice and centered. I like that right there. That is where it will be, whether you like it or not. Little arch surface, but it's all good. We got it on there. Let's pull this off. Well, I'm gonna work it on here a little while just to take my time, make sure it's really good. Then we'll take a look at this thing, man. El Chapo branding is on point. All right, so we got the branding on point for this thing. Now I actually talked with my buddy Carlos over at Carlos Tuning and with what's going on with the ECU for El Chapo, the actual El Chapo over there. This is just branded to match El Chapo because this is going with the El Camino in the bed, full package. So anyways, I'm getting sidetracked over here. So I talked with Carlos over at Carlos Tuning. He showed me which capacitor is most likely to go bad in the ECU in order for it to cause this circumstance, or in order for this to happen. I just went ahead and ordered a full rebuild kit. Once that gets in, we'll just go ahead and solder the new one in, and hopefully that'll fix it. Worst case scenario, Camino. If I have to throw a standalone in there, I will do that. If I have to buy a whole new P28 chipped and ready to go, fully tested and tuned from one of these aftermarket company that rebuilds them, I will do that. So the car, the El Camino, even though it is down right now, it will not be down for long. I also have that drive shaft being made as we speak for it to be true all-wheel drive. I've been having such a good time driving it around front-wheel drive, it doesn't really make a difference, but we need it to be all-wheel drive for the new owner, which could possibly be you. Link down below. At this point, since I was not able to do what I wanted to do, we have the El Camino on point, the branding on point. We are waiting for a capacitor, so we can't do the rollers. Let's go ahead and pivot and knock out some work on the Cadillac. We haven't worked on that in a little while, so let's do what we got to do to get that pulled around and see what we got to do on the Cadillac. So if we want to work on the Cadillac, we need to move another Cadillac. We got Cadillacs galore over here, and we have a small problem. Check out this guy. We're not going anywhere with that. So I threw a spare on it. Man, I need to move some stuff around here. Oh, there's my jack that I haven't been looking for that I forgot about. So that's the tire that we need to get out. Wheel and tire anyways. I don't want to crush this tailgate. That's for the other truck. Let me see what I got to do here. So this Cadillac is really for my OBS Chevy that I got. So there's like OBS Chevy parts in here. I'm gonna need this out here to change the tire anyway, so no need to take that out. These are for the custom hood. I don't want to mess these up. Easy now. Don't scratch the paint. And again, I can't take it out that door because I can't even open that door. So let's figure this out. All right, so let's take this thing over to my used tire spot. We don't need to do anything fancy on this thing. I just need to be able to roll it around the yard. That way we can move this Cadillac to pull around the other Cadillac. What up, Lola? What up, man?
Hi, what's up, buddy?
How you been, man?
Good, yes sir, yes sir.
Good. I just got one for you.
Do you want to change it or?
Just used, cheap. It's just got to roll around the yard.
What's wrong with? Oh shit.
Yeah. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate you, man. Thank you, man. Yep. I gotta go pay still, but thank you. All right, this is my local spot over here, Total Tire One, over in Longwood. They always take care of me really nicely, so I want to give them a little shout out for always working with me. So these tires, I don't need them for anything except for the Escalade to get out the way. These guys are quick, easy, convenient. So let's go ahead and make our way back to the shop, get the Escalade moved so that way we can get the Cadillac around to the front, and then come up with a game plan for this thing, man. We need to get this thing done quickly, cheaply, and efficiently. Efficiently is quickly, but we need to get it done, man. so good to see the lack laid out and back in the shop. It's been about a month or two since I've worked on this thing. It's just been sitting outside under a tarp. I wish it was in a shop, but it is what it is. We gotta work with what we got while we have what we got until we get into a larger space. So with this car, my number one thing that I want to focus on is the roof. Now there's a couple of different directions that I could go with this thing. And let me just show you some of the problems so that way you can get a better idea of what we have going on. Let me switch it to over here. If you can see, the roof is just absolutely atrocious. There's foam in here. This is the underside. It just looks like there might have been fiberglass on here at some point. There's full chips coming out. It's just not a good situation. So one thing that I had to consider, or that we both have to consider, me as the one doing it, you as the one that I'm talking to while you're watching this, is what is this car worth right now? How much do I have in it, and how much do we think it's going to be worth in the end? And then with those questions answered, that'll kind of help us figure out what we want to do. If I were to get a whole new good roof for this thing, it would take a lot of time to, number one, source one. Can we even find one? This roof in this car is not very common. Cadillac 75 Series Fleetwood. I don't see them too often. If it was a DeVille, maybe you can find one at a junkyard that somebody wrecked, or if it was a Fleetwood, not a 75 Series. So my point is, we're not going to be able to find an OE metal roof for this thing for any reasonable amount of money. So then it goes to the next option. If we want to do a custom piece of metal, I don't have the equipment to be able to do that, and even if I did, I can't lie to you and say that I'd have the skills to be able to do it. Gigantic piece of metal, English wheel, shaping it, planer, whatever. I don't know. I know the tools that you would need. I know I don't have those tools, so there's no way we could just make it a flat roof. And the reason why this roof is so messed up is because this used to be a landau, or it had the vinyl top, and those tops just hold water underneath it. So getting back to my original questions, how much is this car worth? How much do we have into it? And how much is it going to be worth in the end? The answer to all of those questions is not a lot. It's not worth a lot. I don't have a lot in it. And in the end, it is not going to be worth a lot. So we kind of need to figure out how we can do it for it to make the most amount of sense for the build. And as I'm sitting here discussing it with you, I'm still trying to figure out what exactly I want to do. I could weld in patch panels here and there. I don't want to light the entire thing on fire if there's all foam underneath it. Or I could do fiberglass, which a lot of people don't like fiberglass because the fiberglass and the metal, they don't really work too well together. You risk it becoming delaminated because when the metal heats up, it's going to expand. The fiberglass does not expand at the same rate that the metal does. So with that being considered, fiberglass is not the best alternative, but it is an alternative. I could just smear 10 gallons of mud on the roof and get it as clean as possible. Clean up the underneath side. I don't want to do that. I think what I need to do is flake off and kind of pull this roof back to somewhere where it's going to be halfway decent. A lot of people suggested bed liner. We need to get it halfway decent before I do whatever I'm going to do. The finish right now is not the main concern. Getting it to the point where I could feel comfortable to put bed liner on it, paint on it, or another landau or vinyl top. With another vinyl top, I was looking at them. They come in like a 4-foot section. This roof is so big that it'd have to have seams on it, or you can run them this way and then there'd be a seam every so often, and if there's a seam, we gotta stitch them. If we gotta stitch them, it's gonna get a little bit out of control as far as the budget goes. We need to just fix this thing as reasonably priced as possible because this is not a big money vehicle. I think I'm just saying in a lot of words that I'm going to have to do it in a way that I don't think is the best way of fixing it, but it just doesn't make sense to throw a whole bunch of money at this. This car is just going to be kind of a cool weekend cruiser, and I don't know. Let's go ahead and get some of this chip crap off. Let's figure out where good metal is so we can figure out what we have to work with and then go from there. Another thought would be cut off the roof completely and make a really long laid out convertible, but then I don't know. Let's just grind it down and see what happens. hell is that? Let me show you what's going on. If you just take a look at it, there's absolutely no way that I used more than a gallon of body filler. But you can see that it is really coming together. It is looking good. The last thing that I just did just now was laid out some guide coat. And with this guide coat, I'm going to be taking my 80 grit and air file and run over the entire thing. Now, like I was talking about earlier, how there's not really a great solution for this thing, what I ended up doing was treating all of the rust with some Ospo, scraped off all the rust that I could. This is not an extremely proper way to do things, but for what this car is, I can't think of a more reasonable alternative. You just got to do something to get it going. This will just be a cool, fun car for somebody to take out, and I'm cool with that. So let's just go ahead and get it blocked out. It has really come a long way in this past week of just working the roof. Nice and straight. It'll be good. And keep in mind, even though there is 2 gallons on here, that doesn't mean any of it is more than an 1/8 or a 1/4 inch thick. I don't think we're getting too crazy. Some of it might be a little thicker than it should be, but it is what it is. That's just how we're doing it, and I believe everybody would do this the same way, whether they like to admit it or not. It is what it is, and it's turning out nicely. So let's go ahead and get this thing blocked out one more time. Then we will go with the primer, as I've been working on this. My father's been sanding the rest of the car, so we're really getting ahead in that sense. So we should have this thing painted sooner than later. And I'm also thinking of doing something really cool, custom lowrider style on the roof. That'll be really nice. So we got it blocked out for the 100th time is what it seems like. So I'm going to go with primer on the roof. Now the entire thing is kind of ready for primer, but with where I'm at and what my mindset is, the entire roof needs to be blocked multiple times. So I'm going to prime it and then throughout blocking it, guide coat, a lot of that primer is going to come off. So I'm going to save the primer for the rest of the body just because I want the roof to get caught up to the same point that that is. And what I mean by that is I want the roof to be about 1 primer layer away before I prime the rest of the car, because I'd have to take off the taillights or mask off the taillights or get them all really dialed in. With this car, and what I usually would recommend and usually would want to do is pull apart everything, but something like this where I can't get a lot of replacement pieces, I'm just going to do a lot of masking. So we got some high build primer all mixed up, ready to go. So let's go ahead and lay down a couple coats on this roof and see where we are at. This is going to really show us how good of a job I did or did not do. So now that we have this colossal roof primed, I mean, dude, when I was priming this thing, either walking the entire thing back and forth, this roof is bigger, larger, longer than anything that I have ever painted in the past. What a freaking monster this thing is, dude. I'm excited for this thing. I am thinking I would like to do a custom style roof, something like a lowrider style paint job, metal flake, shading, airbrush, layers, pearl, all kinds of really cool stuff. I think that is absolutely necessary for this big rig that we got. What do you think? You think so? I think it would be worth it. I'm thinking we'll do maybe 4 panels up top, 1 panel right here, 1 on the other side, fine line tape, pearls, maybe like a black and like a purple or reddish or a copper, or I don't know. You let me know what you think as far as the Cadillac goes. So the next thing that I need to do, I want to block out the roof, because every time you prime, or with me priming it, that's really like kind of resetting me back to square one, or resetting me and regrounding me, so that way I can see how much body filler is still needed on this thing, how much I need to work it. Dude, it is hot in the sun right now, so it is going to be drying quickly. So I gotta block this, guide coat, block it, do all that. I wanna give it at least until tomorrow until I start blocking on it. So I think I'm going to push off the Cadillac to the side for now. As far as this video goes, the El Camino, I'm waiting for those capacitors to fix the ECU. I know a lot of you guys are waiting for that video where I'm driving around this thing. I know a lot of you have expressed that you are going to get involved with the giveaway as soon as you see this thing running and driving like it's supposed to. I do have a video of it on the dyno where that shows you what it can do. So I understand if you're waiting. I want to warn you though, the end of the giveaway is going to be April. This is the last month. If you want to get a chance to get in there before it sells out, go ahead and hit the link down below to get in there. Or if you want to risk it and wait until that last video comes out, that's fine too. But if it sells out, it's selling out, and I would get in there while you can if you still wanted an opportunity to do so. So this definitely wasn't the video that I was planning on making, but that's the joy of having multiple projects. If I'm waiting on something, we can pivot and work on something else. So thank you guys so much for watching. Like this video, comment, subscribe, hit the link down below if you want to support me in my shop, and I'll see you on the next one. I'm out.